It's September 12th, 2003. You're sitting in front of the TV on a Friday night with Toonami playing in the back and a pre-episode bumper airs for something you think is just another episode of Dragon Ball, but it's not. You're given the special for the history of Trunks. And at 5 years old, I had no idea what I was about to witness. Now, I'd seen Dragon Ball before, but really could only identify Goku and Piccolo. I'd casually watch it while playing with my Spider-Man toys. But this special was different. This special changed me. I know that old dub is very inaccurate to how these characters really are, but man, did it make it fun to watch. It was a moment that made me fall in love with Dragon Ball, the moment that introduced me to my favorite characters. The soundtrack made me fall in love with metal. Side note, during the future Gohan and Trunks fight with the androids in the park, a band is played. Most people remember Dream Theater, but there was only one time Toonami aired this fight with a band called Tendril's song Time to Burn on it. Anyway, this series led me to friendships I've held for decades. It's what got me interested in art. It's the reason I spent years chasing the Namek Saga shoulder to waist ratio. Seriously, I spam shoulders every other day just so I can look like this dude. So when I found out this special was adapted into DLC for Kakarot, I lost my mind. I was hyped beyond belief, even though the new update corrupted my save file and forced me to replay all of Namek again. No, seriously, this was almost the end of my run. It's like a damn curse. I can't get past anything in the Frieza Saga every time I play this game. I crashed like 4 times during the start of this DLC, and then my saves just vanished just like my dad. But damn it, I want to see what they do to this special, especially after how damn good that Bardock one was, which I also found out has a Vegeta side story, so now I gotta go back and do that too. Alright, let's get into it. We're dropped into a world already in ruins, a cold recap of everything that's gone wrong since Frieza fell. Goku is dead, taken out by a heart virus. And in his absence, 2 androids, remnants of the Red Ribbon Army, emerge from the smoke and turn South City into a graveyard. There's no Goku to save them, no Piccolo, and no Dragon Balls. Hope died in that rubble. There's only 2 warriors now fighting against the androids, Gohan and Trunks, the son of Vegeta and Bulma, a child born into Apocalypse. Trunks is voiced by Alexis Tipton here, a different voice from the original Specials Trunks and the same voice as the main timeline hit Trunks. In-universe, totally makes sense. But personally, no, I never liked the voice. Not because she does a bad job, honestly it's the opposite. She pulls off bratty so well that it makes me not want to hear the kid speak. And although this Trunks isn't bratty, I can't disassociate the two. Now the game throws us into Trunks' shoes, starting off with a training session with Gohan. I'm not sure if it's intentional because Trunks is inexperienced, but you really feel it in his combos and they're not flashy at all. He feels really sluggish. He can't even land a full string of hits. We finally see where Gohan is 13 years later. He's now taken up Piccolo's mantle of the trainer. Same attitude, same training style. He's doing for Trunks what Piccolo once did for him. Though all of this is hidden from Bulma since Trunks is afraid of what she'd say about him preparing to fight these androids. The two set off into the city and this is where the tone hits you. The old world we flew around in, the one filled with life and bustling cities, chatty NPCs is now crumbled and silent. People live in fear, barely scraping by under the android's rule. We run into the Professor Oak lookalike and we get introduced to the DLC's newest mechanic, the Android Alert Bots. These are Red Ribbon patrol drones scattered across the map. They detect you, they trigger an alarm and summon the androids. You got 2 options here, evade detection or destroy the bots before the alert goes off. But eventually 17 and 18 show up, and our only choice here is to run. You have to stun them by breaking their stamina with repeated smash attacks. Honestly, I don't think I've ever gone over that mechanic in the main game so far, but here it's pretty essential for living. Now these new little bots floating around everywhere are annoying, right? Sure, they pop up literally everywhere, but they exist for a reason and to show just how complete the android's control over this world really is. Next day comes and Trunks goes to train with Gohan again, still hiding it from Bulma. This is where Gohan starts preaching, if you're not rested, you're not going to get the full benefit of training. And now this hits on a question people always ask. Why is Gohan so weak in this timeline? The game actually gives us this answer through the environment. Gohan is living in a grim cave next to a perpetually crackling radio, consistently listening in on the android's destructive movements. He's living in a constant state of unyielding anger, never fully letting himself rest mentally or physically. He's literally laying on the ground, never truly recovering from those battles. Now in real life, science is very clear with this. Sleep and rest are paramount for muscle growth and recovery. Recent studies highlight their multifaceted importance. Deep sleep, the body actively repairs muscle tissue and increases muscle protein synthesis, with sleep deprivation directly reducing these rates. Crucially, adequate sleep optimizes hormonal balance by promoting the release of human growth hormone and testosterone, both vital and anabolic hormones. Conversely, insufficient sleep elevates catabolic stress hormones like cortisol. which severely hinders muscle gain. This perpetual lack of proper rest impairs glycogen replenishment, fatigues the CNS, and reduces overall training performances and injury resistance, ultimately preventing optimal muscle hypertrophy and recovery. Now, I get it, they're Saiyans, right? But we only ever see Saiyan Zenkai boosts coming after our heroes are fully recovered. Future Gohan, living this reality, understands his biology perfectly. He's quite literally preaching to Trunks to recover and rest now because Gohan knows he's not the sole protector of the planet yet. The day ends, they head back to Capsule Corp for dinner, and this is where you see Gohan's internal struggle. Back in the Saiyan Saga, Puar compared Gohan to Goku and it gave him a sense of pride, but this Gohan, he never really figured it out. He's chasing Goku's shadow, trying to become something he's not, and it's
seeing you in that outfit, eating like you do. You remind me so much of your father. It's almost like he's still here.
I wear this as a way to remind myself that I need to be strong, just like him. My dad was a really carefree person. He never let anything get to him, even my mom chewing him out.
That's so true.
But that didn't stop him from risking his life, time and time again, to protect me and all the people he knew and loved. He was amazing. I want to carry on his legacy and fight for those I care about, for everyone. But I feel there's more I should be doing.
Wow, Gohan's amazing. He's such a strong person.
We jump again to the next day, and Gohan tells Trunks it's best to keep Bulma from noticing if he takes more rest days in between. But then Gohan makes a subtle, almost heartbreaking comment about not having seen his mom or grandpa in a while, his curiosity about their well-being shining through this hardened exterior. A small human moment in a world that's been stripped away of so much humanity. But before Trunks can go and check in on Chi-Chi and the Ox King, we got a cool little side quest. Amidst the devastation this game offers us, a small, seemingly mundane side quest that androids have obliterated the delivery service that brings the essential supplies to Master Roshi. Trunks volunteers to deliver the food himself. It seems simple. But when we arrive, it's just sad. We see Roshi is relocated to a submarine. Probably because the androids were attacking so erratically, there is no predicting if they hit a landmark that Dr. Gero would have undoubtedly programmed into their data. We get a brief, somber conversation with Roshi. He's incredibly curious about the androids, admitting he's never seen what they look like up close. He cleverly hides his true, desperate motive, though, attempting to somehow find good in them by feigning a perverted interest in Android 18. It's a classic Roshi move, even in the apocalypse. We return to Capsule Corp, and not long after, we get the alert. The androids are attacking near Roshi's hideout, and Trunks rushes back, barely arriving in time to stop 18 from killing the Turtle Hermit. The fight, as we sadly expect, goes poorly for Trunks, and he's about to be obliterated by 18's blast before Roshi, summoning the last vestiges of his former glory as the planet's greatest martial artist, courageously steps up to take the blow instead. But before they're both killed, 17 drops from the sky, in a great mood after he just beat his Elden Ring boss. In a moment of chilling caprice, in awe of Master Roshi's courage, lets them both live, but lets him know the next time they meet, they're dead. It's a stark reminder that these two androids, for all their destructive power, see killing humans merely as a game, a toy they could pick up and break, a mood they can just act on. Roshi offers Trunks a final profound apology for his perceived failure. He then imparts a vital piece of wisdom. The androids' biggest flaw, their ultimate undoing, is their refusal to grow as beings. They're static, frozen in place, no evolution, no desire for more, and that will be their undoing. Trunks, as Gohan's pupil and a Saiyan, is the polar opposite, constantly striving to do better every day. Roshi prophesies that this insatiable desire for evolution will one day allow Trunks to overcome them. It's a great motivator for the boy, a crucial lesson in an age of despair. But this moment, as inspiring as it is, sparks a lingering question for me. Why didn't Roshi ever use the Mafuba or teach Trunks and Gohan the move? The very technique itself, a move designed to seal away evil, could have potentially stopped all this destruction from ever happening. Maybe someone can create this in Sparking Zero's custom battles. We return to the main story. Trunks finds Chi-Chi just in time, about to be attacked by a red ribbon drone that's wandered too close to Goku's old home. He saves her and they talk. He tells her Gohan's still fighting, not because he wants to, but because he feels like he has to. Because the world needs a protector and Gohan can't ignore that weight. The Ox King tells Chi-Chi they have to let Gohan do this. All they can do is hope he stays safe. And the loving mother gives Trunks a heartbreaking message to return to Gohan. Keep fighting, but please come home every now and then. Trunks eventually delivers this message to Gohan and we see it weigh heavily on him. Later that night, he truly cannot rest, knowing these androids are harming everyone, and he yearns for a time when he can return home in a time of peace.
Chi-Chi wanted me to tell you something. She said keep fighting, but try to make it home once in a while.
Mom, just hang on a bit longer. I promise. I'll come back once the androids are gone.
The next day dawns, and before Gohan and Trunks can fully focus on their rigorous training meant to push Trunks forward towards the Super Saiyan, the androids attack West City. The two heroes fly in, and now we get a boss battle where we can truly see how these two ruthless machines operate. And man, do they fight like absolute jerks. They can stun you relentlessly, constantly spamming ki blasts. This is like the Birder and Jaice fight on Namek cranked up to a 10. They are genuinely difficult to fight, and I absolutely loved every single second of it. But Trunks, in a moment of cockiness, gets careless. Before he knows it, he's shot down by a stray ki blast. Gohan rushes in to protect him, dragging the kid's unconscious body away from the androids while they light up the city. They're not even trying anymore, they just want destruction. He shields his protege from any more damage, and the androids, believing they finally killed our heroes, casually just fly off. But in the smoking rubble, we find Gohan barely clinging to life, horrifically damaged and now missing an arm. He drags himself, crawling towards Trunks, determined to give the last person who could stop them from the very last senzu being on the planet. Gohan knew his time was running out. He wasn't the future anymore, Trunks was. And if Trunks died here, so did any hope of a world free from Android's grip.
This is my last senzu bean. Trunks, you take it. You're our last hope, Trunks.
The very next day, the brutal training resumes. Gohan pushes Trunks to his absolute limits, demanding he stops holding back, to go all in, to fight like his life depended on it. He notes that Trunks is undeniably stronger. Power Gohan can feel surging in their sparring, yet Trunks still can't break through that Super Saiyan barrier. Gohan, with a profound understanding forged in his own rage-fueled past, explains that Trunks needs that raw, unbridled fury for it to happen. As this all happens, the ground trembles. Jintertown is wiped to bits before their very eyes by the androids. Gohan, consumed by fury, knows he can't let them do this any longer. He tells Trunks to stay back, but Trunks has a naive belief in his growing power and insists they can both take on the androids now, assuring Gohan he'll be out of the way. But Gohan, seeing the stark reality of their situation, pulls a cruel but necessary trick. He lies to Trunks and tells him that they'll both go, before knocking him out cold with a single, regretful chop to the neck. He knows the upcoming fight is a suicide mission. He sees Trunks as the last fragile hope for the future, someone who still has a chance to survive, to grow stronger, and eventually defeat the androids. Fighting together only means they both die, ending any chance of resistance forever. Gohan flies in alone. A lone, defiant figure against overwhelming evil. The androids are finally sick of him and want to kill him this day. Now, if I said earlier the fight against them was hard, they ramped it up even further here. These two androids absolutely play with Gohan when they attack him. I'm not one to use the healing items in this game, I've honestly never really needed them before. But here, I ran through my entire supply. They have these crazy, impenetrable ki blast wall barrages that the player can't do anything against. And when they both rush you, you literally have no choice but to run, if you can. It took forever to get both of them down, and when it happened, I was blessed. Gohan unleashes all of his ki, fully focused into a devastating one-armed Masenko that he believes will finally take down the two androids. And what follows was without a doubt the best take on this arc I have ever played in a Dragon Ball game.
Psych.
I feel awful for having to disappoint you like this, but we've only been fighting at half our full power.
You're not going anywhere, Gohan.
Gohan's ki bar is utterly shattered. a literal visual representation of his depleted strength. A dark thunderstorm rages, mirroring the tragic climax, and the androids, in a chilling display of overwhelming power, share a terrifying reality. They've only been fighting with half of their power this entire time. The next phase of the fight begins, and it is less a battle and more prolonged, agonizing execution. You can't dash, you can't use special attacks, they all fail when you try to charge them up. Your punches do little to no damage, and the androids' relentless attacks from earlier, they're no longer held back. They just kick you around the map like you're a pebble. Eventually they get bored of this cruel sport, and what we are given is utterly heartbreaking. Gohan's final stand is reimagined, where he truly pours his last dying bits of power into a final Kamehameha.
Piccolo, and all the others. I'm not done yet! Dad, if only you had survived. Now to survive, you're our last hope.
Put up a good fight, Gohan. Goodbye, my son.
The beam envelops his whole body, a raw, desperate spectacle, because he's literally putting the entirety of his life energy into it. He knows he's going to lose, he's just not going to lay down and die. Gohan's send-off here was so much better than in the anime. Even though he definitely lost the beam struggle, his final resolute thoughts to Trunks to let him know that he's only one left who could stop them felt far more impactful and conclusive. He died in a way that tragically mirrored his own grandfather. The lone Saiyan who launched a final desperate attack with one arm, horribly failing, yet entrusting the future to a young boy who would change everything. Trunks wakes up to an eerily silent world and immediately notices Gohan is nowhere to be seen. He flies off to Ginger Town, a city now a testament to pure desolation. Rain pouring over the broken cityscape as Trunks stumbled through the rubble, calling his master's name with growing desperation. He finally found him laying still in the breeze, face down, body motionless, his one arm remaining tragically stretched out as if he kept fighting until the very end. Trunks drops to his knees, unable to breathe, the weight of the moment crushing him harder than any battle he's had to this point. Gohan, his mentor, his friend, his father figure, was gone. There was no final word, no goodbye, just deafening silence and the cold rain washing over a hero who died utterly alone. And in that agonizing moment, Trunks' profound sorrow finally turned to explosive, transformative rage, and with it the undeniable spark that would awaken the Super Saiyan inside him.
Gohan? Gohan. No, Gohan. Please, no. This can't be real. Gohan! Gohan! Gohan!
We jump forward 3 years. Trunks is older now, stronger and hardened. Bulma finally finishes the time machine, her greatest invention yet. The plan is simple: go back, save Goku from the virus, and rewrite everything. But Trunks, he's cocky, just like his father. He hears the androids are attacking nearby and bolts towards them, certain that he can win.
What? Where?
But he can't. The fight is brutal, short and one-sided. They beat him down and leave him bleeding, and all he can ask is why. Why are they doing this? The answer?
Well, Dr. Giro created us to help him take over the world, but honestly, we couldn't care less about that.
We can't stand looking at you people. We just hate you. It's that simple.
That's it. No philosophy, no grand plan, just pure loathing. And that's when it hits him. He's not ready. He finally understands that he cannot win this fight alone. The young boy, now humbled and with a clear purpose, recovers from his wounds and embarks on the time machine, venturing into the past to seek help that only Goku can provide.
All set.
Remember, you absolutely have to give Goku his heart medication. And be careful, okay?
Right. You too, Mom.
I'm counting on you, Trunks.
Okay. Wish me luck.
A year has passed on Earth since Goku's clash with Frieza, and life has settled back into a deceptively normal rhythm. But of course, in the Dragon Ball universe, normal is just a quiet before the storm. A new threat is looming large on the horizon. Frieza's returned to Earth, and he's brought his father King Cold with him. Their plan is to lay waste to absolutely everyone, ensuring that Goku returns to a deserted, lifeless planet. Which honestly wouldn't be the greatest idea, would it? If Frieza saw what happened to Goku after Krillin's death, coming back to find his entire home wiped out would have been a much bigger problem. Clearly that arrogance didn't get left behind on that. Kakarot wastes no time, immediately throwing us into Gohan's shoes. We're already gathering at Frieza's location, cutting straight to the chase and skipping the phone call from Krillin about the impending doom. Cold and Frieza, along with their army of minions, land on the planet, but before they can even take out a single Earthling, someone appears. Someone we just spent a lot of time with. Trunks is fresh out of the time machine and in a few seconds slices down the army with his sword. Frieza, still believing this mysterious man is nothing more than a normal Earthling, is shocked to his core when Trunks instantly transforms into the legendary Super Saiyan right in front of him. Now we get to jump back in and play as Trunks, and it feels much more different. He's more confident. The combos are fully extended now than the younger counterpart we just got done playing with in the DLC.
How is this possible? Frieza! Whoa! Ha!
Impossible.
Trunks leaves absolutely not a second to spare, completely ridding the world of Frieza and Cold. There's no grand monologue, no lingering dialogue given to Cold. He's utterly destroyed. The galactic tyrant that once destroyed planet Vegeta and the entire Saiyan race, a force so powerful it pushed our heroes to their absolute breaking points to overcome, has been sliced into bits in under a few seconds. Now, if there's anything here I would have changed, is I would have loved to spend more time with how much Frieza really feared another Super Saiyan, but I guess this was pretty fast in the manga. The Earthlings feel this immense power and immediately think it's Goku, given how similar it resembles his power on Namek. But when they find the young mysterious man who can't tell them anything other than Goku's going to be arriving soon, and he was a Super Saiyan, they're all left with more questions than they arrived with. Now what makes this whole sequence hit so much harder for me, especially after playing that Trunks DLC, is how much sadder Trunks' perspective becomes. It's been years since he last saw Gohan, and the last image he has of him was his lifeless body. But here in the past, his master and best friend is a 6-year-old boy, full of life and joy before the world completely collapsed on him. The emotional weight of the unspoken knowledge must be crushing for Trunks. Goku arrives just as Trunks said he would, and the two head off to talk, but Trunks informs Goku of who he is and why he's here. 2 androids set to destroy the world as they know it. He mentions to Goku about Gohan surviving and training him, a subtle hint that comes back into play later on. Trunks gives Goku the heart virus medicine, and then returns back to that hellish, desolate landscape, but not before telling Goku he'll be back in a couple years to help lend a hand if he's alive. Piccolo, who was wisely listening in, then informs everyone of their grim future. The timer's now set. They have 3 years to prepare for an unspeakable doom, stronger than anything they've fought so far. Now the next part is full of side quest shenanigans, including a throwback side quest about Goku getting his license. Nothing really notable here to talk about other than getting access to the sensu beans, which is a healing item that completely restores your ki and health, and honestly with how the game's difficulty starting to ramp up, I think this was the perfect time to give them to us. Now after all those are done, Goku heads off to where Piccolo and Gohan are training, a familiar landscape where they shared their training for the first time. Goku thanks Piccolo for helping Gohan grow so much stronger while he was dead, and even apologizes for the situation occurring in the first place. Both Goku and Piccolo tell Gohan that he will be the strongest of them all, much stronger than both of them could even dream of, and that the next 3 years are going to be spent training him as much as humanly possible. Piccolo mentioning that if Gohan doesn't get stronger, they'll be in real trouble. Now to Gohan, this just seems like a normal intense training session for the next few years, but only Goku and Piccolo know the chilling truth here. Gohan needs to survive. If they die to the androids and the heart virus, it's going to be all up to him to protect the Earth. The weight of the future rests squarely on his small but growing shoulders. We check in with Vegeta, who's now currently staying with the Brief family at the Capsule Corporation, and our Highness is requesting a gravity chamber, similar to what Goku used when he got to Namek in the space pod. But of course, this leads us into a fetch quest. But while we're out on this errand, we run into Tien, who's meditating by the city, clearly deep in thought, rethinking his entire approach to training. Ever since the Saiyans first arrived, the gap between the fighters of Earth, particularly the humans, and the Saiyans have become astronomically vast, and it's truly weighing deep on Tien. He's grappling with the realization that while he does want to push himself and improve, the sheer chasm in power means he might simply never reach Goku's stratospheric level. This isn't just frustration over strength, there's a profound, almost melancholic sadness seeping into him as he comes to terms with the reality of becoming a side character. Vegeta, of course, is completely unbothered by Tien's crisis, though. He delivers a cutting blow to Tien's already wounded pride, scoffing that the Earthling is nothing and implying that he's too scared to even attempt to grow anymore. This taunt sparks a fight, marking the very first time these two incredible yet vastly different warriors have ever clashed. Power difference, as expected, is absolutely vast. Vegeta comes out the winner, and in his typical blunt fashion, tells the Earthling to simply not get in the way while they fight the androids. It's when something sparks in Tien's head. He doesn't necessarily need to get strong enough to beat the androids head on, but he's capable of getting in their way of just buying enough time and can make it easier for heavy hitters like Goku and Vegeta to get rid of them. Vegeta finally gets the materials, and we go back to Dr. Brief's, where we get the 300 times gravity chamber. It's here quietly that we start to see Bulma and Vegeta's relationship start to blossom. Now, while Vegeta is brutally punishing himself to the brink in his training, Bulma generally starts to take notice of it. And to help him overcome what seems to be a mental block, a psychological barrier even his immense pride can't conquer, she crafts an ingenious augmented reality training realm for him. Now Vegeta must confront the literal shadow of his former ruthless self. He has to beat the Saiyan prince he once was and overcome those old villainous tendencies if he ever has hopes to truly get close to Goku's strength. Once he finally overcomes himself, breaking through that mental wall, he sets a new profound goal. He no longer cares about ruling the universe, no longer desires conquest among the stars. He simply wants to show Goku he's the strongest Saiyan around and prove he's #1. It's still pride, but much more focus, almost noble. We swap back to Goku, who's getting a call from Master Roshi about someone popping up on the island. When we finally get there, it's Launch, who's looking for Tien. He asks Goku to hunt him down and keep him in one spot so she can finally catch up to him. Goku agrees, and we fly off to find Tien training near his house now. The two come to the agreement that Tien will stay around if Tien can gauge where he is in terms of power with the Super Saiyan. This is where the game's difficulty is starting to become a little bit more of a jump from the Namek Saga. He was genuinely annoying to fight. Starts spamming his Ki Ho-Ho like he almost is preparing a new tactical strategy to use in the future. But of course, Goku ends up winning, but unlike Vegeta, who would have absolutely belittled Tien's strength, Goku actually praises his growth as a warrior and acknowledged how much stronger he's grown. Now it's here where I really noticed something profound, something that separates Kakarot's storytelling. This isn't just a series of in-between level-up missions. This entire section is designed to show us the stark difference between Goku and Vegeta's training philosophies and mentalities. Goku treats power as a means of growth and protection. His training is adaptive, intuitive, and experience-based, relying on sparring and steady progression. He doesn't obsess over surpassing others, instead he chooses to face stronger opponents to better himself. In contrast, Vegeta views power as a status and proof of superiority, especially over Goku. His training is intensely regimented, using extreme self-abuse methods like the 300 times gravity to forcibly push his limits. While Goku remains calm and methodical in preparation for this android threat, Vegeta is single-minded, consumed by his need to become the strongest. Now before we head off to the next section, someone makes a truly strange appearance. Android 21. She shows up as a new intern for Dr. Brief, and she's making hologram warriors for us to fight. A character like Android 21, who's dealing with collecting data, feels like a huge deal. The inevitable 3-year time skip and that fated day of disaster is here. The timeline's already changed dramatically, as by this point Goku should have already been dead. But chillingly, that heart virus is showing its ugly head again, just before he can leave off to regroup with everyone.
Sorry, Chi-Chi. All right, we're off! It's probably nothing.
Once we get to the island, the game gives us a series of quick screenshots of everyone, and this immediately starts to feel strange. A game that so far has let us live in the moment and really explore, it's suddenly starting to feel rushed, almost like it's trying to cram everything in as fast as it can. We finally meet the androids, and some subtle changes from the manga have occurred. When we first encounter them, we all leave to a new location. There's no explosion in the city after Goku talks about the people. It's also really strange that Yajirobe was completely removed from this entire scenario. We finally head to the new land, and it's where Dr. Gero gives us details on who he is. A former member of the Red Ribbon Army consumed by revenge after Goku destroyed it years ago. Android 19 is our first fight, and honestly nothing really big comes from it. He doesn't have anything special that makes him stand out. I do, however, generally appreciate how Goku's stance starts to devolve into the fight, visually showcasing his deteriorating condition. Goku eventually falls, weakened and unable to fight, and 19 begins to cruelly take the energy out of him, but right before Goku can finally pass, Vegeta flies in, kicking the android right out of the way. Now, I'm not sure if Android 19 has sounded like this for a while, but it sounds like he has a new voice actor.
Android 20, please allow me to exterminate Vegeta!
Now we jump back in and we finally see that Vegeta has achieved the Super Saiyan form, a transformation triggered by a complex cocktail of emotions. Vegeta's rage here is at his status being undermined by two people who earned something he didn't, a perceived injustice rather than an actual one. It doesn't come from the pain of losing a loved one, but from intense feelings of entitlement and inadequacy.
Of my power. Overwhelmed with anger and frustration, I finally awakened and became a Super Saiyan!
Now before we head into the fight, we can talk to the cast about his new power, and Krillin comments about how he thought you had to be pure of heart to be a Super Saiyan. And here we get Vegeta's pure evil comment.
But wasn't having a pure heart a prerequisite for becoming a Super Saiyan?
Oh, I can assure you, my heart is quite pure. Pure evil.
A rejection of Goku's path and proud declaration of his own, one forged in obsession, frustration, and a refusal to be left behind. Ironically, it also signals the beginning of his inner shift, because from this moment on we start to see flickers of the man who will one day fight not for pride alone but for his family, and for the Earth, greater than himself. We get to start the fight with 19, although a lot of the key moments we come to remember about the fight are taken out. The match ends with such a beautiful rendition of one of Vegeta's most iconic moves. Android 20 realizes now he's utterly outmatched and flees, hiding into the mountains. This boss fight is something I wanted. He's a unique encounter. He can absorb energy, he spams ki blast like crazy, and if he hits you with a rush attack, he'll get you in a grab to absorb your health and ki to give it to himself. Actually a fun, genuinely challenging fight. But it ends with him leaving to activate Android 17 and 18, and now Trunks reappears on the field, utterly shocked. He doesn't recognize these androids at all. His interference in the timeline has clearly changed a lot more than he thought it would. We begin by chasing Dr. Gero into a frozen wasteland, the mountains hiding an ominous familiarity. Bell's village sits nearby, the same place where Goku once fought the Red Ribbon Army. The irony is striking. Gero's creations are born right next to his past defeat. You'd expect some payoff here, some side quests to tie this together, but there isn't. And then the time crunch I talked about sets in. The chilling introductions of Android 17 and 18, the exact moment Trunks feared most, the cage's opening and Gero losing control of 17's cold disobedience. It's all gone. Even Trunks' desperate blast to destroy them was cut. Gero's gruesome death, which I assume was censored, isn't. It's just off-screen. Strange, considering the game had no problem showing dead Namekian children.
We're not gonna follow a single one of your orders. We're just gonna take care of ourselves now. Geezer.
There's another one!
What in the world is going on in there?
16 simply appears after the lab explodes, the scene reduced to fragments. The androids leave without a word, their only focus is Goku. Vegeta's pride shatters here, not because he's weak, but because he's ignored. To him, being disregarded is worse than being defeated. What remains is a fight that's different from the manga, but still layered. 17 warns Vegeta that his arrogance will be his downfall. 18 battles with grace and precision, and for the missing drama I find myself locked into a loop of Big Bang attacks, discovering an almost unfair strategy that I use for the entirety of the game. The game moves quickly here. The team's desperate fight against the androids is shuffled off screen. While 18 takes on Vegeta, Trunks, Tien, and Piccolo take on 17. This completely robbed us of Trunks' horror as he saw his father beaten down, recalling the lifeless body of his master Gohan in the rain. It's a letdown, especially since Kakarot has proven before during the Frieza arc that it could expand quieter moments into something visually breathtaking. It almost feels as if all the animation budget went into that raccoon cutscene. The androids bow to find Goku, but one moment from the manga is cut that shouldn't have been. Android 16 noticing the birds fleeing from the battle. Small, yes, but crucial. That line plants the seed of who Android 16 is. A creature designed for violence who finds meaning in peace, something that was planted early and comes to full fruition later in the arc. The Z-Fighters split, regrouping to plan their next move, but for Piccolo there's only one path forward: become whole. Krillin remembers Guru's words on Namek. If Piccolo and Kami were to reunite, their strength could rival the Saiyans. But it's more than just power here. Fusing means risk. If they merge, they lose the Dragon Balls, but if they die, they lose the Dragon Balls. Kami himself knows his time is short. During the intermission section that took place before, he told Goku he feared his time was coming to an end. Originally, we thought it was going to be from the androids, but now we know it's more than that. It's the end of his own identity. But before we follow Piccolo, the game sends us with Trunks. A small, quiet quest. He helps a stranger fend off poachers hunting the last of the wild dinosaurs in the location. The man introduces himself as Ader and tells Trunks that his name was given to him by his friend Goku. A simple line, but it lights up Trunks' face. He knows Goku. He too has walked in the shadow of this man. They shake hands and a connection is formed. Irony, Ader's an android, but one who chose peace, who chose love. A small scene, but it really lingered with me. Trunks' disdain for androids collides with the existence of one who's kind, and it reinforces something profound about Dragon Ball's world, that even in its vastness, everything feels connected by Goku. Through friendship, through legacy, through memory. 6 degrees of separation condensed into a single handshake.
Goku wa ore ga mamoru ore. Warui koto yurusanai. Omae taosu Hacchan yurusanai. Mou dame.
Omae no make da. Sakusen o kangaenai to na. Kono shoubu katte miseru. Ore to tatakatte miru. Oi, ikiteru ka?
From here, the story turns to horror. Bulma calls a team with the news. Capsule Corp time machine identical to Trunks's was discovered abandoned at a countryside, covered in moss, worn down by years. Trunks freezes. He has his time machine with him. So what is this? He and Gohan go to investigate. The boy asking Trunks about the future, and Trunks paints a nightmare, describing the horrors he endured. This boy, completely unaware, he is the reason he survived at all. A bond across timelines, unspoken and invisible, but deeply human.
I was wondering, is the future really all that bad?
It is. Humanity has been reduced to only tens of thousands of people.
That's terrible.
The time machine sits near a rotting home, devolved of life, completely shattered with no explanation, at first sighting straight out of a slasher film. A cracked shell, the remains of something that forced its way out. Whatever emerged from here arrived years before Trunks did and came from a time years after Trunks first came back. This is how Cell enters the story, a creature whose arrival reshapes history itself. Ironically, his time travel saves the warriors. We have already seen that none of them are anywhere near the android's level, and if they would have fought 17 and 18, then Trunks' timeline would have happened all over again. But because it was 19 and 20 that attacked and the androids having a different nature than the future ones, our heroes have a fighting chance here. The game skips over that the word hope is scratched into the time machine. Trunks uses this to confirm the machine is his, and it's strange because it could have been an added line tossed in anywhere in this scene. Gohan discovers a massive alien husk nearby, a skin shed like a nightmare, evidence of something that crawled from the time machine and devoured that household. This is Toriyama at his most brilliant. Dragon Ball shifts into pure horror here. Cell is framed as a new monstrous threat. Even his design reflects it. In Eastern society, the cicada symbolizes rebirth, immortality, and transcendence, rebirthing itself until it's perfect. The insect waits underground, dormant, until the moment comes to emerge. Just like Cell, who hatches from his grotesque cocoon and later sheds his own skin to achieve perfection. He's a creature of transformation, of inevitability, a nightmare born from patience. Now we're finally given Piccolo to control again, and it's now time to get the conclusion of his story that started all the way back in the 23rd tournament. Piccolo goes to Kami, who acknowledges that Piccolo is not like his father. Kami, realizing that his limitations as Earth's protector against this new threat, agrees to surrender himself and fuse with Piccolo through a grouping of questions to reaffirm that Piccolo is new. Now, if you're new here, I've been following Piccolo's story in Kakarot very closely, because I think this is the absolute best story of this game. Piccolo is born from absence. He's what remains when Kami casts aside his darkness. Not a child, not a brother, just an echo, an embodiment of everything unwanted. His entire life begins as rejection, as if its very existence is proof that some things are better left behind. But that rejection becomes the story, because for Piccolo to grow, for him to find his purpose, he has to face that fracture. He has to look into the void of what he is and choose something different. And that choice here is to fuse with Kami. That choice is to become whole again. Yet the path to the wholeness didn't begin with Kami. It began with Goku. Piccolo's first goal, the only thing driving him, was to kill Goku and succeed where his father failed. But Goku, without ever trying, became something more than a rival. He was a benchmark, a mirror, a reminder that true strength was not just about domination, but about growth, perseverance, and honor.
Yajirobe, can I please have another senzu bean?
Huh? You should still be full from that last one. Here you go.
Thanks. Here, eat up.
By fighting Goku, Piccolo was forced to continuously evolve, and in that struggle, he caught glimpses of something he'd never known before: genuine respect. Later on, friendship. Through Goku, Piccolo began to question his own solitary, ruthless nature. Now, if Goku was that mirror, then Gohan was light. Gohan was the first person to ever look at Piccolo and see more than a monster. Training this wide-eyed, kind-hearted Saiyan child forced Piccolo to confront everything he thought he understood about weakness. Because in Gohan, kindness wasn't weakness, it was the boy's strength. And then came the moment of truth, the day Piccolo threw himself in front of Nappa's attack, the day he sacrificed his life for a boy who had come to mean more to him than victory, more than pride and more than survival. The single act revealed something Piccolo had never believed himself capable of: compassion. From then on, Gohan became his emotional anchor, his reason. The bond between them reshaped Piccolo's identity. He was no longer the Demon King. He was a true friend and mentor, which brings us all the way back to the fusion with Kami, because this act, this decision, and the culmination of everything Goku and Gohan awakened in him. To fuse with Kami is to erase that self he's clung to all his life. No longer Piccolo, no longer the Demon King, no longer even Kami, but something new. A Namekian who's long since forgotten his real name. A culmination of souls reuniting. Piccolo reveals who he truly is, his strength no longer selfish, his choices no longer driven by pride. He fights for an imperfect world that he's learned through Gohan and Goku that it's worth protecting. Piccolo's story, once defined by absence and rejection and chaos, finally finds resolution in wholeness and belonging. And in one single wave goodbye to Mr. Popo, we are shown that his warrior has accomplished conquering the evil in his heart. The seed planted is now a fully grown, beautiful adjacent tree.
Farewell, Kami. Please, don't die. I am neither Kami nor Piccolo. I am a Namekian who's forgotten his true name. Right. I'm off.
We arrive in Ginger Town, an all too familiar stage in Dragon Ball history. In every timeline, the city's destined for agony. But here, its tragedy takes on a different face. Instead of the instant annihilation that came with the androids, the people here were hunted, drained, left as nothing more than empty clothes scattered on the pavement. Walking through this town is unsettling. The silence is louder than any explosion, and the trail of discarded garments lead us directly to him. The final villain of this saga, the time-traveling puzzle, the bio-engineered cryptid Cell.
Face monster? What's going on? I can sense Goku's energy from this creature, and Vegeta and Frieza's too. What the hell are you?
Oh, you don't need to know that. All you need to know is that I'm going to enjoy you as my next meal, Demon King Piccolo.
And so begins Piccolo's trial. Fresh from uniting with Kami, the Guardian Earth now stands at the front line against a creature forged from the DNA of the universe's strongest fighters. Cell doesn't fight with elegance here. He doesn't have anything that is specific to his boss fight. He just spams Kamehameha after Kamehameha. A hollow imitation of the legend he was built from. In the manga, this encounter carried a different weight though. Piccolo outsmarts Cell, feigning weakness and allowing one arm to be absorbed, buying enough time to extract the truth from him. It was a masterstroke, a reminder that Piccolo's brilliance lies not only in his strength but in his cunning. But here the scene's stripped down, their conversation drifts into casual exposition and Cell flees into the city before the moment can truly land. It's a loss, because this was the kind of scene that deserved animation, a chance to see Piccolo's deception unfold, to witness the sharp spin kick he throws perhaps for nothing more than the love of the game. We return to Kakarot, back to the ruins of Dr. Giro's laboratory. The basement's demolished, the walls split open, and though the game doesn't actually show it, we're told that the plans for Android 17 and 18 are discovered among the rubble. Detail lore tucked away off screen. The world feels bleaker now more than ever. 2 androids still roam unchecked, stronger than anything we've seen before, and now Cell, feeding, growing, mutating into something far beyond imagination. The only hope left is to stop him before he reaches perfection. Yet just as despair sets in, the moment Trunks sacrificed everything to create finally pays off and Goku wakes up. The hero of Earth rises from his sick bed and with him hope. Weakened, weary, he's been listening all along, and when he teleports to the gang, Krillin asks him if he's afraid or excited. His response is simple. The horror element is gone and hope has came back completely. Goku has always lived by one principle: do it afraid. From childhood he faced monsters that should have paralyzed him with terror, but fear never froze him. He wore it, carried it, and turned it into strength. It's a mindset worth taking into your real life. Fear doesn't disqualify you from action. Sometimes it's the very fuel that carries you through it. He finds Vegeta and Trunks and tells them the Room of Spirit and Time, a place he's known about since he was a boy, but one so harsh he couldn't survive more than a month inside. One day in the outside world equals a year within, a crucible of isolation, silence, and strain. For Vegeta, this is destiny. His pride won't let him live in the shadow of a so-called low-class Saiyan. For him, training isn't about saving the Earth. He's here to prove once and for all that he is number one. Trunks walks in with different intentions though. He's here to grow stronger, yes, but also to connect with his father, to understand him and his Saiyan pride, to bridge that goal for 2 separate lifetimes. Inside, the void stretches endlessly, a blank canvas of white. The moment you enter, 10 times Earth's gravity crushes you down. Every breath feels like suffocation, and every step feels like carrying a mountain. But the weight is only half of it. The silence here is oppressive, a blank horizon in all directions. Your mind can't anchor to anything, your sensors can't trust themselves. In the anime filler, the room even tortured its guests with visions of fire and ice, illusions meant to break the spirit. That's not shown here, and I get why. Very few Dragon Ball games have tried to depict this realm at all. Outside of the white blank background, that is. In fact, the only one I can recall that gave us 2 separate takes in the time chamber was Dragon Ball Sagas. While Kakarot doesn't take that step, I don't hold it against it. We fight as Vegeta against Trunks, and here's where philosophy bleeds into the gameplay. Trunks struggles, he's pragmatic, efficient, a survivor forged in desperation. His battles are tactical, his focus survival over pride. Vegeta's the opposite. Raw ego, pure dominance, a man who risks everything just to prove superiority. Trunks knows what it is to be human, but it's not what it is to be a Saiyan. This gap creates the rift between them, both in story and how this fight plays out. Meanwhile, the world outside unravels. Cell slaughters entire towns, absorbing their lives into himself. The androids stalk the planet searching for Goku. Too late to find him though. You can't help but wonder, had they stumbled upon him sick and bedridden, would they have just killed him instantly? 17 especially seems more interested in a worthy fight than simply wiping him out. The one who steps up to fight the androids next is Piccolo. Our newly whole Namekian, forged in fusion, stands as Earth's front line. In gameplay terms, we even receive a boost akin to the Saiyan transformation, though curiously it doesn't carry the same statistical weight. This fight against 17 is brutal, kinetic, but it's cut short when Cell, drawn by Piccolo's power, enters the stage. Here's where I need to pause, because something feels missing. The battle between Piccolo and Cell should have been a masterpiece. Instead it feels truncated. For one, I didn't even realize Hellzone Grenade was in the game until later. It wasn't required in this fight, which feels like a missed opportunity. The devs could have used this as a prerequisite moment, forcing the player to unlock it and land the move during battle. It would have tied the cutscene we know and love to the gameplay, a chance for players to reenact the exact beats of the manga. Even smaller touches like triggering a special guard break animation to lead into iconic finishers could have gone a long way here.
This freak's more powerful than I thought.
You bore me. Are we done playing around?
Still, what follows is pure cinema. Android 16 steps forward, a creation deemed a failure, a machine designed only for destruction who instead found purpose in birdsong and life. Before he heads off into battle, he tells 18 softly that
you are good people. You did not harm innocent humans or animals. I have enjoyed our time together.
That one line captures everything. In him, the supposed flaw of compassion became his greatest strength, and then here comes the Hell's Flash. It's one of the most beautifully rendered moments in this game. 16 grips Cell, slams him into the earth, and unleashes a blast so overwhelming that the ground itself cracks around him. For a moment, hope flickers. For a moment, we believe. But Cell survives. He tunnels beneath the battlefield, strikes 17 while unguarded, and absorbs him. In an instant, semi-perfect Cell is born. The monster swells in power, and the android who just stood tall against him is dismantled with ease. Just as Cell turns on 18 though, salvation arrives. 10 Shenhan. Tien knows he can't win here. He knows he can't even slow Cell in the way Piccolo or 16 could, but he refuses to stand idle. Channeling his very life force, he unleashes the Tri-Beam again and again, slamming Cell into the ground. This is where Kakarot's storytelling shines, because in the contrast, the philosophy of Dragon Ball itself is revealed. Cell's power is stolen, absorbed, and taken by force. It's a power without effort, strength without honor. Tien is the opposite. His power is earned through decades of discipline and sheer willpower. The Tri-Beam is not a casual ki blast, it's an act of self-immolation, a technique that burns life itself for a moment of defiance. Tien doesn't kill Cell, but he buys time. Time for 18 to escape, time for hope to breathe just a little longer, and that in itself is a victory. And yet, as much as this moment is beautiful, I couldn't help but think back to something I said during the Namek arc. Why wasn't Krillin ever made playable? You know, these models exist. Scenes like this should have been perfect as short, interactive sequences, mini-games, button mash struggles, something to make you feel the effort Tien sacrifice. This game preaches connection, how every fighter, even those outclassed, contribute to survival. And here more than ever, the game had a chance to make us feel that connection.
What are you doing? Get out of here!
Now what follows is one of the strangest shifts in Kakarot's retelling. Gohan doesn't flare with the rage that we've seen in other versions when Piccolo is injured. Instead, Goku simply teleports him and Tien away from danger, pausing for a brief clash with Cell before retreating. The scene is meant to underline how hopelessly outmatched Goku is, but it feels redundant. We already know Cell's strength is overwhelming. The detour adds little. Back at the lookout, the torch quietly passes. Vegeta and Trunks emerge from the chamber, fully empowered and brimming with confidence. Goku and Gohan prepare to step inside. Goku's riding on the faith of his son. He knows maybe better than anyone that Gohan holds something far greater within himself. But it struck me here. The game rarely lets us see those flickers of Gohan's raw, unrestrained fury. Vegeta arrives at Cell's battlefield and unveils one of the most iconic transformations. The sheer arrogance, the stance, the thumb-pointing pose. Super Vegeta is here. But Kakarot confines it to a single fight. Gone as quickly as it arrives. For a moment you can feel that intoxicating pride radiating from him, but like so many of the arc key beats, it fades too soon.
Long look, Cell. I'm going to beat that stupid grin right off that annoying face of yours.
While the warriors clash, another thread unravels in the background. Bulma creates a device to shut down Android 18, and Krillin, caught between heart and duty, is forced to make the choice. He can't bring himself to use it, and the one kiss from earlier weighs more heavily than logic, and with it, the possibility of avoiding what comes next vanishes into smoke. And that's when Cell strikes Vegeta's core, tempting him, whispering to his pride, the part of him that never stopped chasing Goku's shadow. The promise of a true test of fighting someone at their peak blinds Vegeta's consequences. Now we've heard this warning before. Android 17's bitter words echo into the back of our minds. Vegeta's pride will be the death of him, and once again he walks willingly into that trap. Trunks begs him to stop. He knows where the road leads, and he's lived in the ruins the androids created. But this voice can't break through the wall of pride, and with Vegeta's blessing, Perfect Cell is born. Now this might be the most disappointing part in this entire arc. Round 2 begins and the game stripped us away one of the most important moments in Vegeta's history. The final flash, a scene of pure desperation, of humiliation burning into defiance, is removed. Every game I've played has honored it. Here it's absent and replaced with silence. Vegeta's long, agonizing buildup of that single beam, his entire pride condensed into a suicidal strike almost, erased. For a game that animates so many attacks with reverence, leaving this one behind feels like a betrayal. I can't help but think what made them choose this. The omissions keep piling though. Trunks' grade 3 form, the trend-fueled, muscle-bound mutation that traded speed for raw power, is never shown. The transformation happens off-screen, spoken of only through Krillin's words. Trunks himself is treated as a little more than background noise in this arc, surprisingly enough. His pivotal moments stripped away. As a future Trunks fan, it stings. The game reduced him from a warrior scarred by the future to kind of a bystander. The Cell games are proposed to the defeated Trunks and we stop back at the lookout. Goku and Gohan emerge from the chamber, but instead of chasing higher peaks, they redefine what the Super Saiyan is. They perfect it as a state of calm, the inverse of Vegeta's approach, that is, a perfect moment to reflect back on the themes during the 3 years of training that they had. Goku and Vegeta forged entirely different philosophies here. Goku pursues mastery through control and serenity, while Vegeta sought power through raw obsession and pride. Trunks, raised under Vegeta's shadow, embodies the extremes and end of the obsession, pushing Super Saiyan to something monstrously unbalanced. It would have been a great opportunity to show us this power apart from Goku and Gohan's tranquil evolution, but instead of highlighting that contrast, instead of letting the two philosophies collide, Kakarot brushes it aside. Goku knows another round in the chamber won't push them forward. Not this time, at least. He realizes it's no longer training, it's just punishment. What they need now is rest, recovery, balance, and he embodies the Turtle Hermit way. Strength is found as much in stillness as in struggle. The Sun family returns home, and for the first time in what feels like forever, Goku and Chi-Chi take a moment of themselves, heading out on a quiet date night with Gohan drifting away from it. Heading to Capsule Corp, where Bulma's at work. On the table lies Android 16, silent as Bulma removes the bomb embedded in his body. When he awakens, there's no hostility, only curiosity. He asks Gohan to meet him in the forest. And when we arrive, it isn't to find a warrior waiting for battle. It's to find 16 in the grasslands surrounded by deer and birds, resting peacefully among the wildlife. He and Gohan speak about their love of nature, and Gohan admits his dream of one day becoming a scholar. 16 in turn shares his past, modeled after Dr. Gero's son, yet cast aside for being too gentle, too unwilling to embrace conquest, labeled defective and forgotten when all he was created for was to fulfill a single mission: kill Goku. Before the moment can linger, though, poachers arrive trying to capture the animals gathered around him. 16 moves instantly to defeat them alongside Gohan to drive them away. And in the aftermath, he reveals his true purpose for seeking Gohan out. After the time chamber, his data no longer aligns with the boy standing before him. He sees the truth now. Gohan's potential eclipses them all, telling the young Saiyan he will be the one who defeats Cell.
I foresee you becoming the deciding factor in the outcome of the Cell games.
Me? But my dad's way stronger.
We are not so different, you and I.
The next day, Goku learns of armies falling helplessly to Cell. He realizes that they need the Dragon Balls restored, and that means finding a Namekian he knows just the one. Traveling to New Namek, he brings back Dende, who accepts the mantle of Earth's new guardian. And with that, a quest begins, gathering the Dragon Balls anew. It's like exploring a journey backwards, to remind us where Goku came from, revisiting the faces and places that define the hero's past. Pilaf and his gang still scheming after all these years, Master Korn, Fortune Teller Baba, allies who once guided him. Even relics of Gero's army uncovered throughout the ruins of his lab, offering one last tie to the shadow of the Red Ribbon Army. And finally, close it out with something simple, a sparring match between Goku and Krillin, encouraged by Roshi, who wants to see how far his students have come since the days of Jackie Chun. These are the missions that bring Kakarot to life, the calm before the storm, the kind of reflection that roots the story in history, and yeah, I'll admit to it, I'm always a sucker for a little nostalgia bait when it comes to the Turtle School. Seeing these characters look back, remembering how far they've come, always gets me a bit emotional.
今のうちに笑っておけ。ん？わしでよければ相手になるぞ。
よし、来い、悟空。クリリン、久しぶりに一丁やろうぜ。さーて、そいつはどうかな。どうした悟空？ちょっと腕がなまったんじゃないの？はい。かかってこい。
Now, throughout all these side missions, there's been a quiet shadow in the background. Android 21. Well, not quite that name yet. Here she's only referred to as a Capsule Corp researcher, but her presence is unmistakable. I found her lingering in odd places: Grandpa Gohan's house, the crash site where Raditz first fell to Earth, and even the ruins of Dr. Zero's laboratory. Each sighting feels deliberate, like Bondi is planting seeds for something bigger. Maybe one day this becomes an event? I hope so. The day arrives. The Cell Games. Mr. Satan struts onto the stage, chest out and talking like prime Stone Cold. Within seconds, he's unconscious.
As the world martial arts champion, naturally that would be me.
That guy? He's dead meat.
No, Goku. That's him. And with that, the true matches begin. The fight the entire planet has been waiting for. The duel where the Earth's survival rests on the shoulders of its mightiest warriors. The moment we expect to see Goku's most brilliant, iconic techniques. And yet nothing. The instant transmission Kamehameha, cut. The Cell Game stage being obliterated, cut. The awkward send-off of a sensu being given to Cell, removed.
Delete! 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 Delete!
Now we get Gohan's shoes to play again. He takes the stage, and the story finally breathes. Goku had known his limits. He saw it in his son, a dormant, emotional power that far exceeded his own. But Gohan wasn't like his father. He wasn't a natural fighter. He was gentle, hesitant, more scholar than warrior. It's been echoed since the beginning of the game. For that strength to awaken, it would have taken something terrible. So Goku fought Cell first to measure the threat, but also to prove that his son had already surpassed him. The gameplay here doesn't add much. These fights with Cell play like any other battle up until now. It's not hard to imagine what could have been if they pulled more from the manga for little moments of fan service. But then 16 steps forward. He tries to sacrifice himself only to realize too late that Bulma had removed his bomb. Cell annihilates him and then starts the next act, sending out Cell Jr. and cause Gohan's anger to fill. We fight them as Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks. Curiously, as Super Saiyan Trunks, a model that developers already had, which makes you wonder why it wasn't used against the fight against Perfect Cell, instead of the filler fight we got with Goku. Still, here where the tide starts to shift in the game. The head of Android 16 is hurtled before Gohan, and in his final words he pleads for Gohan to protect the Earth, for him to embrace his power and let go of his fear. And it's here that the dam finally breaks. Gohan, the child who always resisted conflict, who buried his rage under kindness, finally erupts.
Gohan. It is not a sin to fight for what is right. Give in to your anger. Let it flow through you. There's no need to hold it in any longer. The plants and animals that I love, please protect them. I'm counting on you.
You've prattled on long enough. You factory defect.
He's changed.
His scream cuts through the battlefield, his grief and fury fusing into the birth of a Super Saiyan 2. It is as cathartic here as it ever has been. The timid boy vanishes, replaced by a warrior overflowing with confidence, calm, and almost terrifying control. For the first time in this arc, this game soars. The cutscenes, the gameplay, the sense of power, it all clicks. You feel unstoppable, and in truth you are. But even perfection crumbles. With his pride shattered and his life slipping away, Cell chooses annihilation. He swells with energy, ready to take the Earth with him. Goku, realizing the mistake was his presence that had drawn the threats like Cell here in the first place, makes the ultimate choice. He teleports Cell away, knowing it's the end. A father leaving the future in his son's hands.
Gohan, you did great. I'm so proud of you.
Dad!
Tell your mom something for me. Tell her I'm sorry. Sorry, King Kai. This was the only place I could think of to bring him.
And yet peace doesn't come. Cell returns stronger, crueler. His vengeance takes Trunks' life in a single flash. Vegeta, broken by the sight of his fallen son, lashes out in fury, but even in his rage is brushed aside one strike and he's unconscious. The true final battle begins, and finally this feels like a boss fight. Cell floods the arena with clones, barrages you with full arsenal, even unleashes a cruel trap of homing blasts that turn the battlefield into a minefield. It's chaotic, it's dangerous, something the Arc desperately needed. Vegeta, still battered and reeling, makes one last stand.
Say goodbye, Vegeta. This little game ends here. You and this whole planet are done for! How about this? This has to be enough power to destroy the Earth and the whole solar system!
I'm sorry, Dad. Everyone. I didn't have what it takes to beat Cell. I wanted to punish Cell for what he did, but I couldn't. Please, please, forgive me!
Gohan, what are you doing? Don't give up!
Dad!
Pour every ounce of power you've got into that Kamehameha, just like Cell's doing! You can do this, Gohan! You have the power!
But I can only use one arm, and I'm not even at full power!
You'll be fine. You can still win. Believe in yourself, Gohan. Release it. Release everything. Give him all you've got. Show me, Gohan. Show me our combined power.
I will.
This is the end for you, Gohan!
He actually did it!
Way to go, Gohan.
And so the story closes. The gang return home with peace finally in their hands. Goku, in choice that feels both selfless and heartbreaking, decides to remain in the afterlife. Future's been altered, yet fate still leaves its mark. Trunks departs for his own time, carrying with him the lesson of two worlds. This arc in Kakarot is far from perfect. It leaves moments untold, it cuts away pieces that deserve the spotlight, just like Vegeta's final flash and Trunks' evolution, his struggle to stand alongside the legends he admired. Yet even through the omission, I can't help but love this arc. Because buried in the rough edges is the heart of Dragon Ball, sacrifice, growth, and the passing of the torch. Why I'm willing to look past what was lost to hold on to what was gained. Now Trunks may have left this timeline, but his story isn't over. The DLC gave us another chance to follow him, to see the warrior he was always meant to become, and next time, that's where we'll go. Back to the future, to save the timeline.
I'm off.
Goodbye, Trunks! Good luck in your future!
Go on. Thanks. I'll do my best. You guys take care of yourselves.
Have a safe trip back!
Take it easy.